right. Good morning, everyone.
Good
Welcome to
morning.
Bead Maker and Coffee for Monday, January 22nd with Sydney Bray-Gwynn, and we have our guest today, Michael Hill. Michael,
Hey, how's it going,
welcome.
everybody? Thank you.
Well, good morning, you guys. How was
Good
your
morning.
weekends? Is everyone surviving the wintry snow? Michael, how are you dealing with the snow where you're at?
There is no snow in Georgia. It actually has been. I think we did a benefit run for Parkinson's Foundation on Saturday, and the high was 32 that day. So it was
Ooh,
19 for the most of the day. So no top down, any of that type of stuff. So we actually drove the smart car all day. So good times. Really
yeah.
fun event.
That smart car of yours is hilarious. It's all like it's lifted, right? Lifted,
Yeah,
big old knobby tires, all kinds of.
lifted,
It's got
got
a.
all kinds of silliness done to it, but it's a ton of fun. So it's everybody was running like old school, like 50s and 60s Jaguars, old school Porsches, and then you got a smart car thrown in the middle of them, and it's it's entertaining. So
That's
it's a
awesome.
very fun car.
Well, speaking of 33 high, we have Sydney here, which I know that you've been in snowy Boise winter wonderland.
Yes, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to pull up the Bead Maker Lounge. It's not working. I'm not sure. It
Ah,
looks like we're live, but it's not working. So sorry for that. So I'm not gonna be able to see who is leaving comments. But
I'll see if I can pull it up too.
yes, so we it's been a crazy 2 weeks. So I think we started getting snow about 2 weeks ago. So we had 29 inches in 12 days. Which is more snow in a 12-day period than when we had Snowmageddon back in 2017, which like crippled the town. So, I live about 7 miles up and it's up. And so the elevation goes up quite rapidly. So I think just Boise got 29 inches. So I don't know how many we got, but more than that. So yeah, we've been shoveling and blowing out and it's been crazy. And then the last couple days, it's been 40 degrees and raining. So now we're in a massive melt and flooding. So the weather's been a little crazy here. But yeah, my weekend was good. It was just a lot of watching football. I'm a huge football fan. So that was crazy.
There's a couple of good games.
Yeah, yesterday the two teams I wanted to win won, so that was
Nice.
awesome. I can't wait. So can't wait for next weekend. But anyway, last week, PNS was in Vegas on kind of a meeting. As everybody knows, we joined with the Automotive Technology Group, ATG. And so we got to make a trip to Vegas and hang out with all those guys for a couple days. And that was a lot of fun. So I was there all week last week. So this weekend, I didn't get a lot done because I'd been traveling all week. So yeah, it was good. It was good.
Yeah, if Georgia got that much snow, we'd literally have to call in the National Guard because
I bet.
we
I
entire
bet.
state shuts down at like 2 inches of snow and everybody freaks out. There's no bread and milk at the stores. It's entertaining. So
That's so funny. And like watching, like TikTok and everything, it seems like the whole world or, the whole US just got slammed by snow in so many places. So you're lucky because it
yeah, my
is.
wife was mad. She's like, "It's this cold, and I've got to deal with this, and we got no snow. I'm just mad." So
Yeah, true. I mean, we did have like the, 5 degrees, but at least we had a winter wonderland to look at in our five
yeah,
degrees. That's true.
That
That's
does help. It helps soften the blow when it's that cold, when it's like
yeah.
pretty, and you can go sledding if you want to. Yeah.
Yep, yep. So fun. And then for me, trying to figure out how to get cars home in the snow, because luckily for me, I didn't have any of my customers cancel or anything, and so I was doing coatings and would have to get the cars home in the snow. It was crazy.
Oh man.
But
Yeah,
the only
that's a
good
bit
thing
rough.
about the 5 degrees, though, is we could time it right where, like, there was a lot of snow on the road, but then if we waited till it was, like, 5 degrees for it to go home, everything was so frozen that it didn't kick the snow up, and you only had to go a couple blocks, so it worked out.
The cars
yeah.
are clean still.
Mhm.
Yeah, the last time it snowed here, I actually we took the smart out. It's got a winch and stuff on it. And we're pulling Jeeps out of the ditch, and I was just like, I don't know of anything more damaging to these guys' egos than a smart car pulling them out of the ditch.
Oh,
So
yeah, I bet.
that was I look forward to it. I was like, please snow, because that was I had an awesome time doing that. So it was pretty funny.
That is so funny. That is so good. That's so good. Well, Michael, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right. Michael Hill. I've been detailing for just a minute or two. I guess around 18 years. Um, my background's I worked for Tier One Automotives for a really long time. So my background coming through college is in physics and engineering. Um, I was one of those people I went through college and was close to this degree, so I went after that one, got that degree, and then, not a lifelong student, but still, yeah, I got a really heavy background in the automotive industry, and then got into detailing and went down the rabbit hole for the science side of the detailing world. So I do a lot of chemical engineering for a couple of different ceramic companies. I work at a lab in Atlanta that does surface coating technology. So I've in the last 10 years got to see about every coating out there, every product coming on that actually goes to on a surface. I created the M644 test, which is a IATF 16949, which is an automotive standard for actual coatings. Um, so yeah, just I'm a super big nerd. I like rabbit holing on stuff. If I don't know about it, I'm going to stay up for 2 days straight and drink 6 pots of coffee until I know as much as I feel confident in knowing. Um, and then I'm the owner of CCI Ceramic Coating Inc. And so we were our first product released July 5th of last year, and so that is a very quick snapshot. Um,
Awesome. Awesome,
Thorough, a very
awesome. Well,
thorough snapshot.
yes, very thorough. So if you guys didn't pick up on it, if you have any chemistry type questions or product questions and stuff, we are so fortunate to have him here today. Wealth of knowledge. He has a great way of explaining things to where we can understand them. I could sit and talk to Michael for hours. So definitely let's take advantage of him being here. Make sure you send in your questions. This is going to be a great episode. We're super excited about it. So should we start with product of the week?
Yes.
Or should
Sure.
we start with what's going on? Which one?
Oh,
What's happening?
I'll jump in. I'll jump in with product of the week just to
Okay,
get that out of
perfect.
the way, and then
Awesome.
I'll get out of your way. So I have, well, it's 10 cars and counting now that I had this week that were hit with some overspray from a roofing company working next door and not letting anyone know that they were working. So I actually texted Michael Hill and explained to him what I'm pretty sure the product was, and he replied back with basically, yeah, you're that's going to be tough. I'm sorry for you. I think he just said, "I'm sorry, man." That was his first response,
Yeah,
and I knew I
not
was in
speed.
trouble. Yeah, it was like a poly. What was it? Polymeric something poly
Yeah.
something foam, spray foam insulation stuff that got all over these cars. So my product of the week has been it's twofold. It's been Epic waterless wash because I'm just waterless washing these cars out front of these businesses, and then paint glossing them and claying them for hours and hours and hours and hours. So
Yeah.
I actually had Ian over at PNS Central go through the back storage of products back there and he found me one of those clay discs with
Uh-huh.
the Velcro on it that I can put on a polisher.
Mm-hmm.
So I can go super clay
Just
these
go ham
cars.
on it. Yeah.
Yeah, just go nuts. But the first couple I've done have been really tough, and so I'm just claying the crap out of everything. And
Nice.
it's been great because the roofing company's on the hook for it, so it's a
Mm-hmm.
nice easy
Mm-hmm.
transaction. 10 cars. So while a lot of guys are slow right now, I am booked to the nines with claying and polishing jobs.
Nice.
So that's
Yeah,
been
just tell them
fun.
to keep parking those things out there when they're doing that. That way you can just stay busy until springtime.
Yeah, yeah. Just give me another 20 cars,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
after I get the disc.
Yeah, what we're talking about is that particular spray foam. It actually will absorb chemicals and stuff. So Tony was asking, he's like, "Is it going to be okay to leave it on there?" I was like, "No, any and everything that atmospheric is going to soak down into this, and it's going to start etching into paint."
Oh
And he's
gosh.
like, "Oh, that's lovely. That's thanks for telling me that." I was
Yeah.
like, "I'm sorry." Like
Oh
a
my
doomsday
gosh.
predictor, just something like that. Well, it's going to get worse, but
Oh
hey,
gosh.
Yeah. And I had thrown everything, all the solvents and stuff I had at it too. And then I, gave Michael the list and he's like, yeah, man, like, sorry.
Oh my goodness. What a bummer.
yeah.
What a bummer,
Let's
but
see if the
good
cars have
for
been coated, see, then it'd have been
yeah.
fine. You probably wiped it
I
off.
know. I'm gonna have to make sure I drop
That's a
that
good
to each of
that's a
these
good,
people.
yeah, that's a good sales tactic there. Be like, "Hey, if your car was coated, we coulda got that off real easy with no damage. And
Mhm.
by
Yep.
the way, I do coatings. I'm Tony." Yeah. So,
Here's a business card. Have a nice day.
yeah.
Oh,
Especially the
too
guys doing
funny.
the stuff, the installation guys who the company spraying were like, "Hey, if you coat your cars in this, it'll be, much easier to remove." Just a,
Yeah.
an FYI. Or you might wanna just go ahead and while you're doing the spray installation, pay for your customers to get their stuff prior to you guys coming out, so
Yeah.
Yeah. Or at least put up a sign or something. I guess they were, and the morning that they started working, the roof had some sizable ice on it. It had rained quite a bit, and that ice had frozen into chunks in the little like
Mhm.
divots where the type of shingles it
Mhm.
had on the roof.
right.
Mhm.
And they were like pressure washing it off and just shooting ice out everywhere. And there's people like these customers, same customers with the cars, obviously were telling me like, yeah, I was walking under, I
Oh
didn't know
my
they were working
gosh.
up there, and there's ice flying down all around me while I'm trying to walk into my office. So they just had not a care in the world for anything or anybody. So,
That
well,
is nuts.
yeah.
That is nuts.
How about you,
Well, very
Sydney?
good. Gosh, so I know sometimes I pick the same products, but some of them I just love so much. So, I use mine's Absolute. So I use Absolute all year, right? We know that I do rinseless wash all year round because I'm working out of my home shop. But I've had the opportunity the last couple weeks to speak to a lot of detailers all around, and we've talked about how the weather has been so crazy the last couple weeks, all across the U.S. And um, I've been able to chat with a bunch of detailers and kind of help solve problems and stuff. And I just think Absolute is so amazing in its capabilities to wash really dirty cars. And there's a lot of people right now that can't use their pressure washers, they can't use their foamers, looking for a way to save time. And it's so amazing that even on these crazy, dirty, really, really dirty winter cars, it's amazing how much you can get away with Absolute. So I've been using it. And I look out in my shop and I go, okay, I have it in a spray bottle, I have it in my steamer, I have it in a small IK pump, I have it in a big IK sprayer, and it's just, used it as a clay lube a couple days ago. And so just being able to, even like in the big IK sprayer, I actually have one of the old ones and I feel like it shoots almost like a hose. And so I've been using that as the pre spray and it literally, gets, and we have that like, sodium hydrochloride sand stuck to the
Yes.
side of all the cars that just turns the car white. And, I've been rinseless washing for a lot of years, right? And I've only had Absolute. This is maybe the second winter I've had Absolute. And it's just amazing to watch it literally break that stuff up right away and start the process of, bringing it down. And it's just amazing. It's just amazing how much I can wash and, literally not scratch anything. I had a brand new Subaru Outback last Friday straight from the dealership. And so I definitely after I washed it, I took the inspection light to it and there was no marring from the wash. I could see some beat marks from the Subaru dealership automatic car wash, but there was nothing, from me washing it. And anyway, I know we talk about Absolute a lot, but that was just one to me that last week I was just like, I'm so thankful for this product just because of the time of year and really how much we can get away with as far as even like the steamer, like just to steam all that stuff out of the door jams and stuff without having to grab a pressure washer is just so amazing. So that's my product.
Nice.
Absolute.
There
How
you
about you,
go.
Michael?
So I actually, have had a gallon or 2 gallons of, undressed, and,
Mhm.
I've got my Miata now that I've done more work than I care to tell people I've done to it, but anyway, so, I was gonna try this stuff called Permashine. So
Mhm.
I used undressed to get all the molding wax and everything off the tires, and, um, pretty impressed with it. It
Mhm.
was 38 degrees that day when I was using it, and, I had a small window of time where I could use water and stuff, but,
Yeah.
um, I've had it forever and been meaning to use it. Um,
Mhm.
so that was the first time, and like I said, that was pretty awesome of getting stuff, and I can just imagine we've got the 4x4 trucks and stuff here are big time, and they like to hose them down with the
Mhm.
we call it the Crisco spray.
Yeah.
Just it's super thick
Yep.
silicone
Yep.
dressing, and there's no really way to get that once they start, oranging and stuff. And so
Mhm.
I'm excited to throw those uh, at it once we get those coming
Yep.
around. So
Yep.
pretty cool.
It's such a great product, such a great tire reset. Like,
Right.
definitely anytime I'm switching coating or not coatings, dressings, or even especially when I get those new cars from the dealership, I don't know what they put on there, but, I gotta get that stuff off, and so I love Undress. That's such a great product, such a
Yeah,
great product.
we've got a lot of the classic car guys here who literally put the cooking stuff called Crisco. They will put it in a
Yeah.
mitt
Oh
and rub it on their tires, and I'm
oh
like,
my
it
gosh.
smells like fried chicken at all the car shows in July for some reason. It's like, what's going on? Like, yeah, this is what we use. And I thought they were kidding, but then you see it for real, and you're like, wow, this is okay.
Oh my
It
gosh,
So
sounds like
that's
a
so
uniquely
funny.
Georgia thing. I mean, I'm just gonna
probably so.
call
They're
it.
like, hey, mom's frying the chicken in there. I need some tire shine. I don't have any. Let's just go get
Why
some
have
Crisco
another
first.
product on the shelf if you
Yeah,
got Crisco and you're using it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the undress works great on floor mats too, like your
Yep.
WeatherTech or your
oh
just your
yeah,
rubber floor
yeah.
mats. It's awesome for that as well. Yeah. All
Love
right.
it.
Well, I'll keep throwing these comments up here. Let you guys chit chat, and
Okay.
I'll find some questions for you,
Yeah,
and I'll see you in a
so
little while.
Yeah, so real quick, go ahead, Tony. So real quick before we start questions, I just want to talk about like what's coming up in the industry, right? So starting next week, we have a big industry event, Mobile Tech Expo in Orlando. So all of Team PNS will be there. Tony's coming with us on this trip, so we're super excited to have Tony, the trainer. Always makes me think of like Tony the Tiger. We're gonna have Tony the trainer with us. So if you are heading to MTE, I believe we are booth number 939 for PNS. So make sure you stop by and say hi to us. Super looking forward to it. I love MTE every year. I feel like it's like the way to kick off the year. Like I really, really love MTE. So question, Michael, will you be at MTE?
Yes, I will be there, and I will probably be hanging out in the PNS booth quite a bit. We'll be
Awesome.
walking around. I'll be in black and orange, so I'll be very easy to find.
Yes.
Um,
Awesome. 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 And so make sure you come see us if you're there. We have a couple of us speaking during education days. So you'll have to check the schedule. I didn't write all that down, but a couple of us either obviously will be in sessions on education day or speaking at them. So check that out. And then we have the big IDA awards kind of annual business meeting on, oh gosh, I just forgot what night that is. Friday night. So anyway, make sure you come check us out there. We're super excited about that. That is next Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And then one other quick note about PNS, we have a new product dropping tomorrow. So I'm going to give a sneak peek of it. I'm not going to give the full peek, just a sneak peek. But make sure that you pay attention to our social media and everything tomorrow as we do have a new product coming out. So I'm just going to hold these up like this and only give a little sneak peek. So watch for the free ride. So something we're super excited about and we've been working on for a while. So that is what's new at PNS. And then, of course, we are working on new products that will be coming out, but those are not coming out yet. So stay tuned. But tomorrow, a fun little drop, free ride. All right, so we can get into questions now. Let's see what Tony's got for us. Lots of good mornings. Good morning, everybody. And we have, real quick, I want to mention, because this is going to be exciting. So you're going to want to watch for this too. Friend of the show, Anthony Brown Jr. from Texas, he will be at PNS today, I believe at 10 a.m. Pacific time to get the tour of the facility and meet with Bob and stuff. So I'm sure we'll see all of that coming out. I'm not sure if Anthony's on this morning, but it's kind of early where he is now. But that'll be fun to watch. I can't wait for him to see PNS. It's really awesome.
yes, very cool place.
Very cool. It's hard to even like explain to somebody, right? Like you got to go last year and it's hard to even prep anybody. You're just like, you're just going to love it.
Yeah,
It's awesome. It's like Disneyland and I don't even know what to say to prep you for it.
and plus you get to hang out with all the cool PNS people. So
Yes. Yep.
that's the
Yep.
best part. So
Yep. The warehouse crew is great. All right. Let's see. Oh, Tony says okay, I get it. Tony just sent us a private little message here. So EC Details says, Tony, was there any chemical that made a dent or did you just have to clay it off? So it sounds like only clay was what was taking it off. Just clay.
yeah, that type of So the foam that was going on is like the spray foam you use for insulation, and it basically
Mhm,
does a very fast chemical adhering, and then it starts
mhm.
swelling, so it even etches it into it more. So probably there's very few things that I can imagine that's going to be worse than that stuff
Right.
getting on your car.
Yeah.
And then you have to like basically cut through foam. So I don't know of anything out there besides just getting super crazy with things that you
Mhm.
might not have paint left. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
one of those good old elbow grease and
Yep.
time type
Yep.
things there.
Yeah. So nuts. All right. And then Lindsay Rose says, absolutely for the absolute.
There you go.
That never gets old being like, absolutely. I just remember saying that the whole time we were teasing it for like months. We were like, absolutely.
I can't say words that rhyme too fast. I'm from Georgia and I speak
That's
real slow, so
That's so funny. All right. M&J Auto Detailing says, hey, Michael, I've been using CCI coatings since last August and really like it. Can you explain the sediment suspension technology in advance and how is it different than other coatings and the advantages? Also, any update on when the spray sealant detailer is coming? I'm guessing is what the end of that is.
sure. So we can get crazy technical. So we'll go up on the spray sealant that's actually releasing at Mobile Tech. We're going
Oh,
to have a
fun.
bunch of bottles there. We're going to be handing out, and
Very cool.
so super excited about that. So as I said to you guys, I'm one of the owners for CCI, and our top of the line coating is called Advance, and it's a sediment suspension coating. So what that means is instead of basically putting chemicals in there that suspend all the solids in there, we just let them float around in there all willy nilly like.
Mhm.
So in most of your bottles of coating, usually 30% of those are just chemicals in the bottle to keep the fluid suspended. That's their only purpose in there. As to where if we do it with a sediment suspension, you can put a lot of different products in there, and everything in that entire bottle is functioning on the vehicle. So that's one of the main differences with sediment versus fluid suspension. Um, like I said, we can go down this rabbit hole for a whole hour of telling that, but that's one of the kind of the main things. It just allows you to put heavier chemicals in there, more of them for the solids, uh, some better elastomers and things like that into it.
Very
Um,
cool.
but the spray coating is going to be really cool. It's going to allow you basically to apply advanced, and 1 hour after advanced is applied, you can put this on there. And then 30 minutes after that, you can send it out into the rain or anything. It's absolutely ready to go. So
Very
super
cool.
excited about that. It only took
Yeah.
me 26 renditions of it to get it right, and I've kept a couple coffee companies in check and in play.
That's
So
awesome. That's awesome. So, do you guys have a booth at MTE or just gonna be traveling around?
we're gonna be traveling around. We're
Okay.
just in the mindset of we could take the money that we were going to be spending on a
Mhm.
booth and actually take product to hand out instead of a
That's
booth.
awesome. That's awesome.
Um, you know, all of our friends there have booths, and we'll go hang
Yeah.
out with those
Yeah.
guys. And I
Very
guess we're kind
cool.
of taking the Breaking Bad thing. Here's the first taste for free, and then call
Very
us if
cool.
if you like the product. So
Very cool, very cool. Well, so if you guys are MTE, definitely track Michael down. So much information and great, great coatings. So I'm super excited to see what's coming out, and that will be so fun. So orange, right? Orange, lots of
yeah, I'll be
orange.
in orange and black, and I've got went and bought some new orange shoes yesterday.
And
So
are you bringing your space backpack?
yeah,
That's
I'll
what
have
I
my
always notice.
stormtrooper
Yeah.
backpack on. So
Awesome.
if you see a white stormtrooper backpack, that
Yep.
is me.
Yep. That's awesome. So great. All right. Terry Foreman, absolute rinseless wash with warm water. Of course. Of course. Yep. Mine comes out with warm water. I can't stress that enough. Like the best thing in my shop is my Chemtrol hooked up to hot water. I'm running absolute on tap. I love
Yeah,
it. So great. All right. EC details. Sydney, is it a polish? No, not the one that's coming out tomorrow. No. All right. First from Puerto
see, I
Rico.
don't
New
even know what
product.
this is, so I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, cool.
Yep. Nope. We've kept it pretty good under wraps so far. Yes, yep, we love new products. Alex, late, but I'm here. Hello, all you beautiful people. Hello, Alex.
He was definitely talking to you on the beautiful side.
No, he's talking to you too.
Morning,
Uh,
Alex.
I'll get to see Alex in a couple months. He'll be in Boise. Can't wait. My guy Kirby, Michael, can you educate us on the factors that alter coating curing times?
Sure. So a lot of it has to do with the chemical composition of the coating. So the way that coatings work on a surface is after they apply, the very top layer will cure first, and that's just because it's right to the air. Um, Touching all the, like I said, different elements into the air, and then you got the part of this connected to the paint, and then all the stuff in the middle. So usually it's around 10 to 14 days for that to bleed out. And what it has to do is it has to cure from the bottom going up, which is hard because it's already encased itself on top. So that's why you get the times that it takes that amount of time. Even though it's about a micron to a micron and a half thick, is still having to work against the factors of basically pushing out all the outgassing, all the different types of moisture, all that type of stuff through the coating that's already hardened on top. So heat will be, of course, a big factor in that. Your outside ambient humidity and just basically the temperature that it's sitting in, and as well as what you put on top of the coating. So if you just kind of layer things on top of it, it takes longer for everything to push out. And also the chemical composition of your clear coat will make a big difference, because if you've got a real porous clear coat like a Subaru or black GM paint, stuff like that are there. Black GM paint is horrible in every aspect you can think of, but a lot of that plays into it as well. Like I said, you can make a huge list of things that are going to play into it, but your temperature and the chemical makeup of the coating is going to be the main one that kind of factors in the curing time. But most everything out there, and including my coating, a full cure from the bottom all the way to the top is going to be around the 7 to 14 day mark.
Cool. So I have a question following that up. So 7 to 14 days, and we obviously give the car back to the customer about 24 hours later, right? So what is the risk to the coating when the car's kind of living its normal life for those 7 to 14 days? What is the biggest risk to the coating in that window? Like, is it being in snow, rain, or is it kind of stable? Like, what's the biggest risk?
So mostly like push impacts are going to be one of the main things, and then heavy chemical while everything is still drying.
Mhm.
So like I said, the bottom part is still going to be mostly a liquid type.
Mm.
So
Mhm.
if you take impacts, that's why they tell you not to wash it with any kind of like
Right.
abrasion or
Mhm.
force going down on it, because you can actually at a particle level start
Mhm.
shifting things around.
Okay.
So that's why I tell you not to wash it, or
Yeah.
kind of anything,
Mhm.
pushing on it, or use like high pressure washing, anything that
Mhm.
puts force down on it.
Okay.
And as well as the top is still curing, so like really heavy chemicals, like if you were to
Mhm.
take, an acid or something and spray it on there, that top layer is still super, super thin.
Mhm.
Um, so that impacts it, which is one of the reasons we made the spray to go on top of it, to where
Mhm.
it kind of blocks a ton of stuff out of it. And
Okay.
kind of gives it a shield while it's curing.
Very cool. Very cool. Awesome. That is good information. All right, Super Auto. Josh mentioned the free ride in his reply to me on Facebook yesterday regarding Playmaker. Awesome. Frank, good morning. It feels
And everybody
extra
said good
early.
morning. I think a ton of people have said hello. So
Yes, a
I don't
ton.
want to miss anybody. Hello, everybody. Thank you so
Yep.
much for
Yeah.
joining us. Uh,
Yep. So Gabriel, so back to Tony's issue. On that foam, is acetone not working to dissolve it or make it soft? So is there really nothing that will make that foam any softer? It's just bonded with it?
yeah, that stuff is super reactive. So
Mhm.
acetone will soften it up some, but it'll also reactivate some of the adherence
Oh,
into it. So then you're going to be
okay.
smearing it around. It's going to
Oh,
dry other places.
oh yeah.
Like I said,
Yeah.
that stuff is probably one of the worst things you can get on your car,
Oh
just
my
by the way
gosh.
it reacts with everything,
Yeah.
because it reacts to.
I feel like there's an excuse for me to jump in like that every week, where it's like something
I know.
terrible has happened to me.
Right.
And I mean, I guess for an audio podcast, I shouldn't be doing sight gags. But I
No.
pop in with my just tired, stressed out look on my face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
no,
know
nothing was helping with that stuff. I'm gonna try some of solvents again when I have the next car in today, but
mhm.
yeah, I just
Yeah, and I feel like this happened to, another, friend of the show, Nick Vecchio. Michael, did you ever talk to Nick when that happened to him last
I think
summer?
he's still I think he's still claiming that particular car right now.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I remember well, I'll have to text him today because I know he had one that had several came in that got coated in something from roofing, and I remember he could not get it off, and I just remember a lot of claying. So, I'll have to reach out to him and see if he had any crazy voodoo that ended up working, but it sounds like
yeah.
yeah, I
I
mean, it's one of
guess
those things, and my instant thought on that, and thinking about that since we talked, is to use maybe hand sanitizer with a couple of different things because it's got a little bit of surfactants in it, and the alcohol in it will flash dry it. So that might be
Mm,
something you could kind of work
mhm.
into it.
okay. I'll give
That's
that a
about
shot
it.
today and report back. When I call
Fire.
you crying, when I call you crying, you'll know it only worked
It
so
didn't. It
well.
didn't work. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Well, since
man.
since I broke in here, broke through the fourth wall or whatever, I do have a couple of questions from the internet from
Okay.
our what's our segment currently called? Moments of internet
Yep,
uncertainty.
moments of internet uncertainty.
Um,
That's my daily
so
Awesome.
life.
we had a run of this lately, which I mean, I guess everyone can sympathize with since we were
Mhm,
talking about the weather and how cold it is.
mhm,
But we had a question from everybody, and that's
mhm,
my bottle showed up frozen. Should I
mhm.
return it? Is it ruined?
Yeah.
So I guess can we talk a little bit about freeze cycles on chemicals and how to tell maybe if those products are still usable?
Yes. Yes. So I'm gonna start out and then I'm gonna start off with, should you return it? And then I'm gonna let Michael go into the chemistry part. But so I sent this to Tony and I was like, literally from this question is from everybody and their brother. Like so we got so many questions. And it was all like last week because, like we talked, the weather, it's been freezing across the entire country. It's been snowy, rainy, cold. And so we had a lot of people last week where their shipments, whether it be from us, the rag company, Amazon, wherever, everything that we got was frozen, right? So lots of people asking, is it defective? Should I return it? And the answer is no. And then we also had a lot of people that were upset with us personally, like at PNS, which, so I just wanted to address this. So when you order product, it's coming from California. So it's not frozen when it leaves PNS. So we ship it from California and we don't have any control on where that truck drives, right? So if it's driving to Georgia, we can't control what cities they drive through, how long the semi is stopped there, if it goes on a plane. So we have no control. Once that leaves shipping, we have no control over it. So it's really not like a PNS issue. It's more of just shipping. And really, like even everything that I've ordered, stuff that wasn't necessarily even liquid, like is coming frozen, like it's frozen, right? And so, so the answer is no, you shouldn't return it, but you do need to kind of check it out. And so now I'm going to throw it to Michael to give us the chemistry answer. Um,
We don't get frozen stuff in Georgia, so I don't know.
What is
there's
frozen?
no frozen path to Georgia.
Um, so basically, what this is going to do is going to congeal the parts that aren't doesn't have an alcohol based or some type of uh, chemical in it that's not going to freeze. It's going to separate that stuff. But usually, once you let that sit for a couple of days and get back to kind of room temperature, and then I would, of course, agitate it quite well to get everything kind of shook up. I don't know of anything in you guys' line that it would make a detriment to.
Mhm,
If you got your ceramic coating bottles and they were frozen, yeah, then you're probably going to have
mhm,
a super big issue at that point in time.
mhm,
But most of your chemicals like brake buster and all those type of stuff, once they get back and they're settled at room temperature,
mhm,
everything should kind of mix back together. Because if you think about it, all these chemicals, brake buster, everything we use are all separated anyway, and that's all the freezing is doing is separating stuff. So they're all
right.
poured into a vat and mixed.
Mhm,
So you just kind of want to repeat that process, get it back to 70 to 80 degrees, and then
mhm,
shake the fool out of it for a little while, and then you're going to be good to go. Like I said, I don't know of anything in you guys' line that it would be a super detriment to freeze.
mhm,
You always want to not freeze them,
mhm,
just to take that chance. Um, And then always make sure to keep it closed once it's frozen too, because it will pull in extra moisture
Mhm.
and water into it. So just keep it sealed up. Don't open it to try to make it, thaw out faster and things like that, because that will introduce water into it.
That's a
So
good
as
note.
long
Interesting.
as it's sealed up, you're good to go, because nothing from the outside has gotten into it.
That's a really
And
good
and
note.
I've heard Dave answer this question too,
Mhm.
and frequently he's talked about uh, like repeat freeze cycles,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And
Right.
I think the question the last time, of course, I can't remember the exact product it was at the time, but he said, "Oh no, we tested that, and it really only started to fall apart after like 2 or 3
Right.
freeze thaw cycles. Then
Mhm.
he's like, then it was bad." So if it showed up to you once, there's a good chance it probably froze just one time during the
Mhm.
transit, obviously,
Yeah.
and then we can go from there. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and then the
So
other
I
question.
think it
Oh,
is
sorry. Go
Bead.
ahead.
I think it's Beadmaker that struggles with the freeze thaw cycles, and so that one was like, after 4 or something
Two
like
or
that.
three.
So
Yeah,
so it
yeah,
is a good note that, they are stable through a couple, some more than others, and so, like Michael said, leave those freeze thaw cycles for shipping because it's totally unavoidable. So,
Right.
but as always, your products should be stored in, not freezing temperatures. So, if when you get your products, try to keep them out of the freezing. So, especially you mobile guys, if you're in areas that freeze, watch your vans and things like that because, that's really the real threat to the chemicals is it's consistently freezing over and over again. But the
Because
shipping
you keep getting
process,
that separation over and
yeah,
over.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's like you take silly putty, and if you do this right here so many times, it just gets real stringy,
right.
and you can't put it back together anymore. So,
Yep, yeah.
so
yeah,
it's the same
So,
difference.
yep. So we should all be good. I know the one product that I saw the most was, and maybe that's just because people were so excited to get it and then they thought it was ruined, was the Clean Maker mix. So lots of bottles of Clean Maker were
yeah.
frozen last
Even
week. But
even Jamie, one of Jamie's got
yeah,
frozen and delivered.
yes, yeah. And we were like, does it freeze in Louisiana?
We're like, do you even know
Didn't
what
know
ice
that.
is? Yeah.
I thought it was hot all year. Yeah. So no, you guys are good. Good, good.
Just remember, if you're cold, they're cold. So bring your
Yep.
chemicals
Bring
in,
it inside. There you go.
and your cats, your dogs, and your chemicals. All right, one more we
Uh,
had from
okay.
email, and I'm assuming they were talking about on glass, but the
Yeah.
question says, "Can you remove water spots by hand with Clarity Cream?"
Yes, it
I'll
was
take my answer
referring to
off the
glass.
air.
Yes, it was. It was referring to by glass. So you can. I wouldn't really suggest it, especially if they're pretty solid water spots. You're going to be there a while. Clarity Cream originally was designed to be used by hand, so it was developed before DA polishers were. So it was meant to be used by hand. You can absolutely use it by hand, but you're obviously going to be much more efficient when using it by machine. So, just, I mean, what does it do, Michael? Does it heat the glass up, make those come off easier? Um, it works better on a machine. And so, general contamination, you're going to be able to get off by hand. But if you have water spots, I'd probably grab a machine. But if you don't have one, certainly try it.
If you need a workout for the morning,
Yeah.
any of that type of stuff as well.
Yeah. But if you have hard, I mean, if you have, if it's just like the speckling, you're going to be able to get off that fine. But if it's true water spots, you're going to be there for a good couple minutes.
Yeah.
Good couple minutes. Yeah. Yep. All right. EC details. Mike Hill, in light of recent developments in the industry, what distinguishes CCI coatings from the new ceramic coatings that all have been established for some time?
So every year we meet up with raw material manufacturers, and they've all, you know, a lot of the coating stuff. We use a lot of stuff in the medical field. Is The technology is moving at the speed of light. So if stuff's been out and it's tried and true, it still works well. But there is new developments every day. So I'll design a product, make a chemical formulation, and then by the time I'm ready to release it 6 months later, there's 3 other products that could have worked better. And then you just got to keep moving. It's kind of like if you guys are into computers, I mean, you can build the best thing that one day, 2 weeks later, is
Hmm.
almost obsolete.
Hmm.
And it's the same way with the chemicals in the industry that are coming out.
Hmm.
Um, so I mean, all the companies are always striving to improve and better their products. There's a lot of products out there that just work. and they have to be
Mhm.
between X and Y to function. And those, that you won't see a lot of moving and shaking in those. But the coating field, since I've started detailing, is massive change.
Mhm.
Um, there's so much. I remember the first coating I put on, it was panic inducing because it was,
Mhm.
you did a small spot this big,
Mhm.
and if it flashed too much, then you're polishing it back off. And coatings are getting easier. And I always laugh with all the new guys coming into it. It's like,
Mhm.
man, this is difficult. And I was like, no, you should go back in the day, like
Yeah.
when C courts
Yeah.
first come out, and it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Um, so it's just there's just a lot of different innovations, and it just depends
Yep.
on how much your company is innovating to stay
Mhm.
ahead of the curve.
Yeah.
Um, the thing that I like to say that separates me and my company from a lot of companies is I develop things from a detailer's mindset, to say, hey, what am I looking for? What are the products that I would want to use that make things easier on me?
Mhm.
And a lot of companies out there have a guy that doesn't care anything about cars, just develops
Mhm.
in the lab, and like, all right, here, cool, you
Mhm.
guys have fun trying to use this.
Yeah.
So I think that's one of the things that does set us apart from that, is we're innovating from the detailer mindset versus a laboratory and business mindset.
Yeah, that's absolutely huge too. That's so huge. Even just as a detailer that uses these products, like I notice the difference between the companies that have a chemist that cares and one that doesn't. Like
Right,
it's very, very noticeable. So very
right,
cool. Um, Facebook user Fast Eddie's receives my first CCI order today. That's awesome.
cool.
You're gonna love it. Uh, the cat's having a peaceful sleep in the background, always. The cat never misses bead maker and coffee. The dog
Yeah,
is
mine comes by, you can hear a little bell ringing.
Oh,
If she were to get up here and see your cat back there, she'd just be staring at the screen like she was crazy. So,
that's so funny,
yeah.
so funny. Aloha and good morning. That's from Kelly.
Good morning.
Kelly, poor Kelly, she's in the frozen tundra right now. She's in Boise. Poor thing. Right, Joe Kimball. CCI is going back on Allie's black Bronco this week. It's going to be
Awesome.
tested under the nasty Northwest Washington elements while she's at school. I can't wait. That'll put some to the test
Oh yeah.
for sure.
Yeah,
Kyle, good
we've got
morning,
quite a
sir.
few up there in that, and I think you'll be
Mhm.
pleased with the outcome.
Yeah. Hopefully, we'll see you at MTE, Kyle.
Yes.
And Jamie the cleaner in the house. Good morning, Sydney and Michael. Good
Morning.
morning, Jamie. Have they announced the Grand Ambassador of the Year yet? I'm still waiting. Frank Opice. Looking forward to seeing everyone at MTE and also meeting Michael.
I will
We
be there.
cannot wait. Cannot wait. I love MTE. My guy Kirby, xylene could be used on the foam to break the bond. Oh, could it be? So
Uh, it'll help some, but that's a mold release agent. So once it's already got that chemical bond, it's going to be a lot harder to use that for basically that to penetrate down into the bottom adhesion level to it. Um, it may help, but it'll kind of be one of those things. That's uh that's just the whole thing is that stuff is going to be elbow grease time.
yeah, gosh.
That's it.
So basically, Fireball. Fireball's Tony. That was from Keith. Basically, Fireball is just up a creek. It sounds like.
Yeah, and that is where you're at that point in time.
Yep. All right. Arthur says, "Good morning. I have used a citrus cleaner and a long dwell time. Is that
Yeah,
on the foam?
yeah, I think he put that up there when we were talking about
Okay.
the foam. It'll help. Like I said, there's tons of things you could use to kind of help, but you're kind of using an eyedropper with water in it to put out the fire at that point in time
Mhm.
with everything you throw at it. I mean, it's gonna
Yeah.
something might help, and you might find some kind of concoction
Mhm.
that everything mixed together may do something cool, or you might make mustard gas and you wake up on the floor passed out. I
Mhm.
don't know. So it's just
Gosh. All right. My guy, first from Puerto Rico says, wouldn't vinegar also dissolve the foaming sealants better than acetone? What about
a
vinegar?
base or an alkaline will work better than an acidic because that stuff bonds by acidity.
Mhm.
So anything that is an alkaline base will help more than acidic.
Very cool. All right, Tony, what was the lubricant that you used with the synthetic clay disc? I'm guessing he was still using paint gloss. Yep,
Yeah,
paint gloss.
pink gloss.
All right. Facebook user says if your bead maker freezes and it is not cloudy orange after it thaws, then it's no longer good anymore. So I'm guessing they're saying if the color changes. And maybe that's Keith saying that. Yes, Keith. So if the color changes a lot, and you'll kind of know, bead maker, I have seen one that has frozen too many times. I actually saw it out of a mobile van. And you can tell. You can tell when the bead maker won't mix up and it's not the right color anymore, then you may have a problem.
If
For
it's
sure.
green, probably not.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless you guys do like a St.
If it's
Patrick's
blue,
Day
just throw it out
bead maker.
anyway. All right, Super Auto. Shout out to Eddie for trying PNS Express Interior. Yes, so Eddie Cologne, I did see that last night. Tried Express Interior and he loved it.
That's good stuff. That's my go-to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Gabriel. Tony, you need to look in the basement. Find the net gator. Perfect match with your beanie. Yep. I've seen some of the gators floating around out there this year.
I don't
Throwback
own
to
any scarves or
Throwback
turtlenecks or
to
any of that
yeah,
stuff here.
throwback to
So
2020. Josh Petro, good morning, crew. Good morning,
morning.
Josh. It's like midday for Josh, even though he's in Boise. He starts at like 4 a.m.
Oh wow. Yeah, no.
Just because he feels like it.
Yeah.
All right. I have a question about water spots on a trailer. Are those they are hard from a sprinkler. A trailer is newer, the type you take camping. So I'm not super familiar with fiberglass. So, Michael, do you know about water spots on trailers,
So
travel trailers?
I think he's talking about like a pull behind. So
Yeah.
sprinklers basically are used. They just collect a ton of sediment, either going up in the ground or in the ceiling on places. So when that water just sits there and pools, all of that hard sediment just settles on the bottom, and when it does move, you're just getting blasted with like tons of calcium and different type of hard metals. So we see it a lot here in Atlanta for the parking garages. They'll
Mm.
purge the sprinkler system every now and then, and unfortunately, the cars that are sitting under there already have dust and stuff like that, which is a lot of contaminants. And then it'll get wet, and then it'll pool in really hard circles. Most of that stuff is made up, like I said, trace minerals and calcium. Um, so you're just going to have to use a water spot remover to basically oxidize that out to pull out. Um, yeah, anything from a sprinkler head, 99% of those time, especially if it's, like I said, an old parking garage, is probably the worst type of water spot you could have with it, just because it's very, very heavy. So just
Yeah.
like I said, a good gel water spot remover um, will usually remove those. And if that doesn't do it, then it's probably soaked down into the actual clear coat. And if it's a gel coat like it's going to be on those trailers, it can embed way down in there.
Wow. I hate dealing with water spots.
Yeah.
All right. Aaron says, are there any tips for keeping dust out of the coating while installing outside? I'm looking forward to using CCI mobile coating, and that was something that I'm concerned about. So how
So
big
yeah,
of a deal is it?
the dust isn't going to make that big of a difference. Like I said, we do have the spray topper coming, releasing at Mobile Tech.
Mhm.
That will basically seal the coating out 100% from any outside contaminants embedding into it. So Aaron, in 2 weeks, and that problem will be 100% solved for you.
Mhm. Yeah. And then what about when you're installing? Like, so if somebody's working outside and like, the wind's blowing a little bit, how much of a big deal is it if, a piece of dust lands in the coating while you're installing it?
It's not a huge of a thing. If you're installing like a really dusty area and stuff, and you know that you're going to have some issues with that, probably the
Mhm.
best thing to would do would be to panel prep that each individual panel right before you coat them, and
Mhm.
that way you've got the clear surface. Because when you put a coating on any type of surface, whatever is on the base of that is what that ceramic coating is going to adhere
Right.
to. So if you've got a real heavy layer of dust or whatever that might be, in Georgia and April and May, you've got to contend with the pollen, and everything is
Mhm.
coated with pollen. I can panel prep a vehicle, and it's
Mhm.
yellow in 2 seconds. So at that point in time, I have to either
Mhm.
get somewhere where I can not have that, or do small sections where I'm panel prepping it down and then coating it, and do that section by section.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. Very cool. All right, M&J Auto Detailing. Can you talk about the problems with coating durability claims? Why Advance is labeled as a 3 to 5 year, and what's the difference between a 3 year and a lifetime coating?
Ooh. Uh, so I try to be delicate.
I hate this question about
Well,
as much as I do water spots.
so we label advanced as a 3 to 5 year coating. So why we say that is if you absolutely trash this coating for 3 years, you're going to get 3 years out of it. If you take decent care of it, and top it every year or whatever, it's going to last 5 years. If you take really good care of it, then you'll get very stretch 8 9 years out of it. The life or the time frame that people put on coatings is a guesstimate at best from anybody. There's so many factors that play into that, due to how the end user is taking care of it. If you're in Boise and you've got 2 foot of snow and you've got all this mag chloride. I mean, there's just so many factors that play into that,
Mhm,
versus being in Georgia and you don't have that much except for pollen, or if you're in Arizona, it's dry. I mean, there's so
mhm,
many factors in that. I wish that they would kind of get away from even putting a year rating on there, and then a lot of times they will test. So in testing, um, most of your ceramic coating companies do something that's called testing to zero. So that means that they will say, okay, in 6 years, there's 2% of our coating still left, and there's remnants of it still there. And like, hey, it's still there, so it made it 6 years.
okay,
Um, as to where my company tests to 40%. Once that coating gets to the 40%, it's kind of lost a lot of um, its luster and what it needs to be doing to protect. So if I said if we tested a zero, I could say, hey, this is an 8, 9, 10 year coating, but that's not a reality. It'd be
mhm,
like a saying, I've got a 60,000 mile tire, but at 60,000 miles, there's wires hanging out of it.
right,
That tire lost its performance and ability to do what it was supposed to do
right,
well before that 60,000 mile,
mhm,
time.
yep,
Um, so yeah, the lifetime coatings is like whose lifetime is it? My lifetime is
right,
it 10 years, 15 years?
yeah,
Yeah, like I said, there's so many variables in it, and a lot of it's just a marketing ploy, in my opinion.
yep,
Um, we can take and test lifetime coatings and get 3 years out of it if we abuse them.
mhm,
We can take 3 year coatings and take good care of them, get 5 years out of them. I
mhm,
mean, there's just so much variation
yeah,
um, there in that. But anything you'll see on any of my products is if you absolutely trash it of
mhm,
where you're going to be at, and that's kind of where I think, hey, what's
mhm,
the minimum time? I think minimum time is where you should do it, and
mhm,
not shoot the other side of what
right,
is the pristine. If we keep our
mhm,
car in the garage and we drive it twice a year, and every
mhm,
week we're out there, wiping it down with Bead Maker or something like that, then yeah,
mhm.
you're gonna get a ton of time out of it. So
Yep, yep. And that's what we kind of try to do with PNS too. So our coatings, we try to give, worst case scenario, not worst case scenario, but if you treat your car worst case scenario, this is
right,
how long we think it's going to last. So, for me, and I always try to stress this in my coding classes and when I'm talking to people about coatings is, I try to not put a time on it. I try, especially with my customers, I try
right,
to estimate it based on them. So they don't even know what the coating is supposed to do. So I give them the options and I say, this one's going to last you this long. This one's going to last you roughly this long.
right,
Because, like Michael said, you have to start from the beginning. What paint system is it, right? Because, like, Porsche and Kia are going to be completely different,
right,
right? How many miles does the car already have on it? How does the customer wash it? How do they park it? Is it indoors, outdoors? What state do they live in? How many miles a year do they put on it? How do they normally wash it? There's so many factors that change the end result. And
right,
so there's no way. So for me, specifically for my customers, I try to say it based on their car. I already know my customers coming in, so I already know how they live. I might have
right,
to ask, like, do you park inside? Do you park outside? That might be what I have to ask. But, I kind of already know what they're doing with their car. And so if somebody comes in with a 66 Nova and they want to put inspiration on it, what am I going to tell them? It's probably going to last the lifetime of this car. Like, because they're taking it to car shows, they're hand washing
right,
it maybe once a year. It lives in a garage. That coating's not going anywhere, right? And so you have to really I give customers a realistic expectation.
Right.
And I have cars that they're, contractors that are driving trucks up in the mountains and, doing crazy stuff. And if I'm doing legend, I might tell them, hey, we might only get 2 or 3 years out of this coating because they're running it through a car wash 5 times a week. They're
Right.
driving, through bushes. They're parking it outside in the sun, and so I just try to keep it really realistic for them because that's what you want is for them to get the value out of what they think they're getting. And at
Right.
the end of the day, that's the most important thing is that they feel
Right.
like they got the value. So you just have to be honest with it.
Yeah, I mean, that's setting expectations and
Mhm,
being realistic about it is the most important thing. And I'll tell
yeah.
anybody that comes through our, PNS Extreme one day is I say, setting realistic expectations with your customer
Mhm,
is the most important thing.
yep.
And coding in the coding world right now, um, you know, even the thickest coatings are about a micron and a half thick. And
Mhm,
if you go and look that up, that's tiny.
yeah.
So if you're beating on it and driving it through the woods, brush. I mean, there's so many variables that come into play on that.
Mhm,
We do a lot of work for a company called Pike Electrical here, and what they do when they at the end of the week, they'll literally take straight non-diluted purple power and hose the entire truck down with it, and then come
mhm,
back with a 4,000 psi pressure washer and hit the
mhm.
truck.
Yep.
Is that going to hold up very well? It's
Right.
going to do damage to it.
For
So I
sure.
mean, Um, like at our shop, we offer
Mhm,
advanced as a
mhm,
lifetime coating, but the customer has to come in twice a year. I inspect it, I recode it for them,
mhm,
or do it like a maintenance spray on it, and then at
mhm.
that point in time, it'll last uh, infinitely long because I know how it's been taken care of at least twice a year.
Yeah.
Versus customers who just take it and then go about their way. I'm
Mhm.
not sure what they're doing with it. So
Yeah. Yep. Alex says if you only keep a car for 3 years, almost every coating is a lifetime coating. Exactly. That's
that's
totally
true.
my philosophy. It's
I
totally
have
my philosophy.
so many clients that come in
Yeah.
with cars, and I know they get a car every year, and I'm like, I
Mhm.
want the best. I want to go ahead and pay for the lifetime coating.
Mhm.
It's like I understand that, and I appreciate that you want to spend that money with me, but it's but why? But like, I just want the
Yeah.
best. Okay, cool.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but yeah, most of my high end clients are all they go through cars faster than anything, and I'm
Yep.
like, I'll put that on there. It's fine. We'll
Yep.
do that. And then I'll see you
Yeah.
in six to 12 months and do the
Yep.
next one the same way. And the
Yep.
next person's going to be really happy with it because
Right. Well, and with those customers, I just kind of switch gears to the other benefits that maybe that level of coding brings them, right?
right,
And so, and I'm very honest about that. I say, this is probably a longer term coding than you need, but here's what you're going to get out of it. And,
right,
most of them still end up choosing the highest level just because then I've put value into the other benefits, like maybe
right.
the depth of gloss and, ease of washing and all of that kind of stuff. So, all right. John says, I'll see you at the leadership course, Michael.
I believe that's the one in May, I think.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yep. Awesome. Hans, a customer called me. He had an open perfume bottle and tipped it over and it went in the vent. How would you get rid of it? So I'm guessing, is this inside the car? Like it went inside a vent inside the car?
So on your newer vehicles with all of the foam and different non-hard surfaces inside of that, well, change your cabin air filter first. That'll
Mhm,
help because that's where everything is kind of going.
mhm,
Um, but there's no really way to do that. You can take some of the peroxide finisher
mhm,
in the system and put it in where the air intake is in the front and
mhm.
let it pull through. That will help
Oh,
some. But
mhm.
the good thing about perfumes and stuff like that is most everything's a water based now, so it's not going to last super long.
Yeah, it'll
But the
kinda
peroxide will definitely help.
that's a good idea. That's a great idea. Very cool. All right. This must be from Lindsay because I know she's on her way, heading to the detailing success class. Have an awesome week, team. Have fun.
Cool. Enjoy it. Learn all the things.
All right. PNS East Bay. Hi, Michael. So, how resistant are ceramic coatings to water spotting? And if spotting does occur, how likely does the damage extend through the coating and into the clear coat?
So there's a ton of factors that play into water spotting. One, you have to take the amount of heavy materials that are in the water as it dries. And then you have to look at the open pores or voids in the coating. Um, Coatings are kind of all over the place. You can have some that have a really tight mesh into them that don't allow things to seep into them, and then a lot of your coatings are very porous, which means things can get down into them. So it just depends on the coating you're using, of how resistant it is to it, your solid size inside of it, how old the coating is, the types of bonders and elastomers that are in the coating. I mean, there's a literal ton of different things that will make how resistant it is against water spotting.
Mhm.
The smaller solid size that the coating uses um, makes a massive difference in how easily they water spot.
Mhm.
Um, Most coatings on the market, I always recommend putting a topper of some sort, because that fills in these voids and pores to keep
Mhm.
things from being able to embed into them. So I
Good.
mean, most of the time, your coating will absorb most of all the water spots, and it won't go down into the clear coat, because your bonded layer of your ceramics are a lot tougher than the very top. Um, so most of the time, the coating will have 99% of the water spots, and it won't extend down into the clear.
Mhm. Yeah, but definitely water spots. That is one thing that I always tell my customers. Like, I go through all the stuff that it is resistant against, but I always let them know, like, it will still, if you park next to a sprinkler, you're still going to get water spots. Potentially causing us to have to polish down the coating too much. So definitely not resistant. But I've never. That is one thing I will say though, is when I do have a car that has accidentally parked in. A sprinkler or something like that, it's usually pretty easy to fix.
Right.
Just with a light polish, even just something like Envy, I've been able to get them off. So it's definitely a totally different story than on naked paint and water spots. You can definitely get them off, but it won't just dry and not water spot for sure.
Right. So I mean, you guys got to think. So when water spots occur, like if any company tells you our coating won't water spot at all, that's not true. Because
Right.
basically, if you take any coating in the world, and when the water is sitting there drying, any hard contaminant that's in that water, when that
Mhm.
water evaporates, is going to remain. So that's going to basically put that sediment,
Mhm.
in a ring
Yep.
from there. So there's nowhere for it to go. Um, so I mean, that's
Mhm.
kind of the explanation of that. But some of them will do it really fast, or they'll absorb some, and that's where a lot of your problems come. But the ones uh, on your high end coatings, water spots are really easy to remove.
Mhm. Yep. Yep. For sure. All right, my guy Kirby, I hate the concept of coding grading using years. It's not realistic expectations applicable to everyone. Absolutely.
100%.
Yep. M&J Auto Detailing, great explanation about the durability ratings. Thank you. Yeah, and I know Michael feels the same way as me. Like that is something I try to bring that up at every class I do because I'm really trying to get the industry to understand, to like stop focusing so much on the year ratings,
Right.
because it is so subjective. So, I like that we're getting the word out on that. All right, Nick Vecchio. Look, we were just talking about you, Nick.
Yep.
Nick, if you were not here earlier, Tony might need your help. So Nick says CCI has held up great here in Colorado against the mag chloride and the weather that we have. Many clients here do so job maintaining the coatings, but they're very easy to unclog, reset, and top it. Absolutely.
Cool deal. We've got a few people up there that
Yeah.
use it during the mag chloride, and that's
Yep.
one of the main factors that we did into when we did our testing on it, just to
Yep.
throw everything at it, and you're good to
Because
go.
the mag chloride's the worst. You can drive through it one time and customers will think that their coating has completely failed when it's just
Right.
totally clogged. It's totally fine underneath. I don't find that it wears it down at an advanced rate, but it absolutely clogs it
Yep.
immediately. Immediately. Chris Kemp, anything to speed up the cure time on a coating? I currently use a ceiling fan on high for a couple of hours. Am I wasting my time?
Yes. So I don't know if you were here earlier when we were talking about the way that ceramic coating cures.
Uh-huh.
You can, um, and like I said, I hate to keep throwing plugs, but we've got our topper that's going on
Mhm.
there, but it's still it's nothing's going to speed up the time on the coating healing or basically fully curing from the bottom up. You can put things on top of it that protect it while it's doing that. But even things like hour lamps and things like that, they will help. But unless you have like a paint booth that does full
Mm,
hour curing very
mhm,
evenly with a certain temperature, even doing heat lamps, you're going to get real spotty stuff. And the
mm,
issue with doing that is if I heat, this particular panel on the outskirts aren't going to get as hot. And then you're
mm.
making that glass layer expand and contract and cure at different temperatures, which is more detrimental to coatings than it is helping them.
Okay,
Uh,
that's good information. I know we have a couple guys that use the IR cure lamps, and so that is a really great explanation. I know years ago, I was installing coatings from a company that required you to use an IR lamp, and going through the process, I just never felt like something was not working. So that totally makes sense.
right.
And it took me so much longer, and it was a little bit scary.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's a lot of user error that can occur
Yeah.
in using an IR lamp.
Right.
So, I just felt like the risk wasn't worth it. So that totally makes sense that uh, probably parts of it are curing faster and not others. So that's
Right.
a really good note
And
for sure.
if you take these panels and you do like at the microscopic level, and it kind of
Mhm,
looks like the coating has the mange. Like
mhm.
it'll be
Yeah.
super hard cured here, kind of cured
Uh-huh,
here, not
uh-huh.
really cured here at all, then super hard. It's just and that all of those in the way they're cured um, matters for
Mhm,
the crystalline structure when it links in together
mhm,
of how that happens. And if you got some that are
mhm,
fully closed in by using superheated, and then the
mhm,
outside doesn't get that much, then
mhm,
your base coating that's against your paint is completely the crystalline structures all over the place.
mhm,
So, one might last a really long time. One is going to be more susceptible
mhm,
to temperature changes. And if they vary too much, they'll
mhm,
expand and contract at different rates and it'll actually fracture that very bottom layer and make the
mhm.
coating fail prematurely.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, the only way to do that correctly, like I said, is to have one of the paint booths that
Paint
literally
booth, yeah,
has the full encapsulating hour, and then where you
yeah,
can literally set a timer on it that
uh-huh.
has to stay at 140 degrees and all the hours directly the same. At that
Right,
point in time, then it is a massive difference in the way the coating holds up. But I can't afford to go buy a three hundred
right.
thousand dollar paint booth
Yeah, yeah,
at our shop,
right,
nor do I really have the need for it. And there's not that much of a benefit.
right,
Um, and we can
right.
piggyback that, like I said, and go into the self healing coatings.
Mhm,
Most all of those require to be heated, and
mhm,
basically their chemical structure sets itself up like spring steel,
mhm,
to where the moleculars they line up to a certain way, and then heat makes them move back to home position. And
mm,
it's the same way unless you get that extremely constant cure on there, everything's going to be so different, and you'll just have,
mhm,
like I said, your car will look like the mange when you've got you know this is healing really well, this doesn't heal at all, this kind of does, this doesn't. And then
hmm.
you're going to be like, oh, there's no scratches there, all the scratches, some scratches, and it looks horrible.
Oh, that
um,
totally makes sense. That totally
so
makes
the self-healing technology is one that I think in 10 to
mhm,
15 years will be able to happen with coatings, but for right
mhm,
now it's
mhm.
it's just not there. And
Yeah,
then I can't remember who I was talking to the other day. They were talking about, hey, I can just scratch paint and then I can take a
mhm,
heat gun and the scratches disappear. I was like, well, the paint's swelling from heat.
right.
So a lot of the coating companies out there that have self healing
Mhm,
coatings will superheat them. They'll
mhm.
just show you the swell to where everything swells
Yep,
in and it looks like it's healed. And
yep.
as soon as that panel cools back down, then all that stuff's back there. So
100%.
that's a little smoke and mirror game that a lot of these companies will show you, and it's not
Interesting.
it's not realistic.
100%, yeah. Yep.
So
I've
what I'm
witnessed
learning
that
from that
firsthand.
is we all need big ovens in our shops, and we just
Right.
Correct.
bake the
Yeah.
car.
Just
Yep.
stick it in
Okay.
there, put a pepperoni pizza on the trunk, and just let it roll.
And when the pizza's done, the coating's done.
Yeah, it's time to get it out of there. Yeah,
That's how you know. It's like a timer.
that's it.
Well, we've got a few more comments here and there, but we're already running long because, of course, we
Mhm.
are, because it's Michael Hill and he's an
Yep.
awesome guy, super interesting, super knowledgeable. But I wanted to just kind of fire around, get us through here, the last couple of these, and then get us to
Mhm.
where we're going to be next. And so I had one more here about CCI Advanced,
Mhm.
in
Fast
particular.
Eddie here. Have CCI Advance going on a new truck this week. How will Advance accept Defender as a topper? This is a great question.
It will not accept Defender right off the get. It'll kind of give it like a smeary type of
Mhm.
thing. Defender works as a great maintenance about 6 months into it. Um, but the way Advanced is formulated, it basically, uh, when it's curing, it'll chemically adhere to the surface and then it actually starts repelling itself
Mhm.
to be able to make it where it's easier to remove.
Yeah.
So it's already repelling, like I said, repelling itself, and then it's very, very resistant to anything adhering to it. I had an absolutely nightmarish time trying to develop the coating we've got now that goes
Mhm.
on top of it
Mhm.
because of that. And it was basically fighting against that until I found a
Mhm.
way to kind of make it work as best possible. I
Yeah.
absolutely love Defender. I think is an awesome product. The backstory on that is I had a
Mhm.
coating. I was like, cool, I'm ready to rock and roll with this. And then Defender
Mhm.
come out and I tested it and I'm like, well, crap, now I've got to go back and do it because Defender is good.
Mhm.
Um, that Defender's been out for a while and I've literally been
Mhm.
working on something that since Defender released to get to the point where we're at right now. Like I said,
Very
Defender
cool.
is great. Like I said, after you get 6 to 8 months, where a small amount of it will adhere, but if you put it on there an hour after, you're going to have a mess. It's going to be very
Mhm.
slurry.
Yeah.
It's going to look kind of greasy, and it's going to keep fogging
Mhm.
up.
Mhm.
Um, you will not have a good time.
Yeah. Nope. All right, Terry. Wow, Beadmaker and Coffee has been amazing. So much great value and information. Thanks for joining us, Terry.
I think you said I
PNS,
was the turtle on that. So
yeah, PNS East Bay. Are there any chemicals that degrade coatings prematurely? Anything on the market today to avoid?
so you want to avoid depending on the coating you're using, a lot of them are very susceptible to high alkaline chemicals. Um, you can take um, concentrated APC and strip about 90% of the coatings off in the coating world
Hmm.
instantly. Even the ones that say they're lifetime,
Mhm.
um, 2 lifetimes, any of these things that they do stuff with. There's chemical companies that are coating companies that could catch stuff on fire, but you can take
Yeah.
APC and we'll strip it off completely.
Wow.
Um, so there's a few of them out there. One's
Mhm.
an orange bottle that you can put straight APC on. It doesn't matter, but
Mhm.
most of your coatings out there, high alkalinity will strip them off almost immediately.
Okay. Good
There
to
you
know.
go.
Good to know.
And I mean, honestly, I think that's pretty much it. We've just got
Cool.
a little bit of a discussion on poor Hans's
Yeah.
uh, uh, perfume down the
Chemical.
car vents. Yeah,
Mhm.
so I recommend steam and maybe even an odor dock treatment.
Mhm.
And then now we've got a whole pizza thing that's going on. Um, apparently,
Pizza and donuts. I mean, this is
yeah,
it built
apparently
Beadmaker
this
and
temple that I have. So
Beadmaker
Beadmaker
and
and
Pizza.
Pizza is my
Yeah.
there you
solo
go.
podcast spinoff
Afternoon
that's
show.
happening. Yeah, the afternoon, the
Nice.
late night, Beadmaker and
Nice.
Pizza. But
Oh
that's
my gosh.
awesome. So
I have to be
anyway,
breakbuster and pizza.
I
You
have
got to
one
get that
last thing
that
to
that
note.
rougher
oh
I
side
have
there.
one last thing to note about MTE.
yes,
So, Thursday night, if you're going to MTE, Thursday night, following Education Day, so 5 o'clock, we are having like a meet and greet with ATG. So they're sponsoring an event for the industry, for all of PNS's friends. So kind of just welcoming us into the family. Um, so it is from 5 to 7. I'm gonna have to look at the flyer real quick because I already forgot the name of the room. But 5 to 7 o'clock. It's still at the Gaylord Palms. I'm trying to think of how to get there easiest. It's like
I
the
think the question from
Rio.
everybody are they going to have free pizza? Now everybody's
No
jumping on there.
free pizza, but there is drinks and all that kind of good stuff.
You should throw that in there. Be like, hey guys, everybody's really expecting pizza now, so we probably need
Right,
to make that happen.
right. Yeah. So funny. I'm trying to find this. Where's the room here? All right. So, it is there is so the easiest way to get to this is I would go to Beadmaker and Coffee or not Bead Maker and Coffee, the Bead Maker Lounge on Facebook. There's a flyer up that I posted on Friday. So go on there because there's a link to Eventbrite. We do need you guys to RSVP because if we end up with too many, we may have to start limiting it. But go to Eventbrite to make sure that you get on the list. And so there's a link, super easy. It's totally free. So there's no charge. We just need you to RSVP to that. So it is kind of drinks and I believe like light appetizers are included. So go check that out. Please come by and support us. I know that, all of us on Team PNS are very excited about this. We're excited about the gathering. So, I know that there's lots of events for people to attend during MTE, but we would love it if you would stop by and say hi. So the room is the Fort Castillo. So come see us 5 to 7 Thursday night right after Education Day. But RSVP. Right. Anything else? Did I miss anything? So we'll be back obviously for the next Bead Maker and Coffee right following MTE. So you'll get to hear all about all that good stuff. But couple other notes, make sure you follow the IDA because we will be actually live a couple times during the event. With different things. So make sure you're following the IDA Facebook page. And then of course, PNS, we'll kind of do lots of posts and maybe go live a couple times for those who are not able to attend MTE. We'll try to give you kind of an inside look on what's going on inside the industry. And other than that, I can't wait to see you both in a week. And thank you, Michael, for coming on. I've been, we've been wanting to have you on the show for a long time because literally, I'm not joking. I could hear you talk about chemicals for hours. It never gets boring.
It's so fun to talk. You just sit down and just like get lost in Michael's brain for a while.
Yeah. So thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it.
Like I said, I love PNS. I think you guys are killing it. Most of all the chemicals I use are PNS, and I think Bob and Dave are awesome. Love spending time with the whole PNS group. That's where usually when I go to events, I'm hanging out with you guys for the most of the part of the time. But yeah, looking forward to seeing everybody at Mobile Tech. Anybody who's watching, you guys, like I said, if you guys see me, come flag me down, and love to chat with everybody. Love meeting you people. Love talking to everybody in the industry. So
awesome.
Really appreciate you guys having me on.
No problem. We'll do it again.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Cool. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Michael.
Yep. Thanks, everyone.
You guys have a great one. See you about Mobile Tech.
See ya.
We'll see you next time.